The UFL has listened to fans. That's right. We're here to officially announce that finally, UFL has listened to the fans when it comes to player personnel. Of course, these men here on this slide here are responsible for player personnel within the actual UFL beginning in the 2026 season. And you may ask, what did the UFL listen to us fans about? Well, let's go ahead and dive right on into that. And that, of course, is courtesy of the UFL Communications Department, who released a statement yesterday afternoon stating, on team rosters, as the league finalizes the reorganization of its football operations, all team rosters will remain unchanged. This means for any teams that re-signed players during the offseason, like Luis Perez, like Jamar Smith, like Abram Smith, like Kenny Robinson Jr., all these players and more are sticking with the teams that they signed with. Now, that brings up a lot of questions, right? Because what about the 3 new franchises? What about the teams that technically are relocating, even though, are they really? That's the real question here. So we'll dive a little bit into that along with what James Larson has to say about this whole situation from Pro Football Newsroom. But without further ado, let's thank our subscribers and our members here. So if you're not a subscriber, it is free. There's no cost to join the channel. Hit the subscribe button below, hit the notification button as well, and you will be notified when new videos drop for the United Football League and my perspective on the league. But we cannot forget member subscribers, and that, of course, Mr. Lupe Lions 17, Mitchell Still, and Steven Johnson for your continued support on the channel so we can bring you all the UFL news when it drops. So let's go ahead. Let's dive in to the situation here. So let's go ahead and pull this up. First question we've got to answer: what team rosters get assigned where? It seems like that could be the case. Now, we know that Mark Lillibridge, with the whole GM thing and changing, did not sign anybody in the offseason or re-sign for the San Antonio Brahmas. They have a roster still. There's still players that are part of the team that'll be on it next year. Where will they go? Here's my guess. My guess is the Michigan Panthers will be going to Orlando. That is my guess. Their players, their personnel, and everything like that. Or then I think the Memphis Showboats, I think will go a little bit up the highway somewhat to Columbus to be the Columbus Aviators and that player personnel. Then, of course, none other than the Michigan Panthers, the San Antonio Brahmas, I think will go to Louisville to be the Louisville Kings. Now, again, we still don't know the full information on this of how that's going to work, but at this point right now, it does not seem like we are getting a dispersal draft, and any players that were signed during the offseason will be moving to whatever team they relocate. We still don't know. Those are my guesses. Give me your guesses in the comments below. But let's move on to this article from James Larson, who talks about the full forensics examination of operations that the league is doing. He says here, the time will tell. The league is currently working through everything, taking their time to do a full forensics examination of the operation from top to bottom. When it comes to rosters, the UFL doesn't appear to be shaking things up too much, which is great news to hear. Now, if we go straight into his article on ProFootballNewsroom.com, which will be linked in the description below, James Larson states, as the United Football League heads towards what will be a historic season in 2026, many questions still remain unanswered. roster reorganization is one that has been on the minds of many as of late. On Monday, the UFL released a statement following UFL rosters as we approach next season. And again, I read it at the top of the show. As the league finalizes the reorganization of its football operations, all team rosters will remain unchanged. With the recent news of the UFL general managers being let go and the reconstruction of the league's personnel, it puts rosters in the balance. Rumors have already been swirling about rosters being reorganized, with Mike Rapoli's statements about moving local players to their home markets. Thankfully, that doesn't seem to be the case based on this latest statement. The UFL, according to this quote, will not be changing any of the 8-team rosters with the players who have already been reassigned to teams. Now, or re-signed to teams. Now, let me stop there, because I'm going to give my personal opinion on this. I truly think, hands down, that this will be a change only for the 2026 season. I think that after 2026, because of the fact that fans brought up this whole scenario and stuff like, oh, nope, we don't want that. That's a bad idea, and I don't disagree with it. But I think because of the fact it is not stating forever, it's not stating anything. I think it is just for the 2026 season that we are getting this, where players are not moving teams. They're not blowing up the rosters. I think we will see that come 2027 season, when they'll really readjust, get those players into like local markets and kind of filter through that. I think there's still a lot of truth to what Mike Rapoli has been talking about and suggesting with the reorganization, all that. And I do believe that with Russ Brandon, Doug Whaley, and Gigolo, that those three who are in charge of player personnel, obviously we don't know what Daryl Johnston will be doing if he's ever coming back to the league, but with those three, I think they will move towards what Mike Rapoli's vision is for the player reorganization and stuff like that, and give the teams one more year with the current rosters that they've re-signed, so they don't have to really completely piss the fans off. Let's just be honest. Now, of course, he says, now there are still some questions that I brought up that come along with this news. 3 organizations are being relocated to new markets: Memphis, Showboats, Michigan Panthers, San Antonio Brahmas. Given the verbiage, it does appear that the league will move these 3 teams into the cities accordingly, without incorporating some sort of dispersal draft. And he talks about what I said. Also, a team like the San Antonio Brahmas haven't made any moves this entire offseason. Former general manager Mark Lillibridge purposely didn't re-sign any players or acquire new talent as he awaited a head coach announcement. So what happens to athletes who played for San Antonio in 2025? Will their rights be transferred to one of the new locations, Columbus, Louisville, or Orlando? Time will tell, and that's where he kind of goes into that full forensics quote that I have here on the screen. Again, let me know in the comments what you think about this whole scenario here. I think it's great news. I just do not think it's going to be long term. I think they are giving grace to these players that re-signed to the teams that they wanted to be, like Luis Perez going back to the Renegades. But I think moving forward, after the 2026 season, I think that's kind of where we're going to see a complete gutting of rosters, and they are going to start out fresh for 2027. I know, little controversial statement there, but I truly think that they're not going to just drop what Mike Rapoli has been saying, because I think that's where they're leading this league as more of a development league. And we've talked about it. I don't like it necessarily, but I do think that it could draw on and draw that attention essentially overall. I don't think you'll get rid of veterans like he claims, but I could see them trying to move more forward with players kind of being in a geographic location of the team that they're playing for to kind of bring that kind of hype back into the league and get local fans more pumped up, like Columbus Aviators with maybe Ohio State players and other local colleges in that area. But let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure, again, you hit that subscribe button below, and you can support the channel for only $1 a month and become a member. Again, you'll get a shout out on the channel every video. And then, again, subscribe, hit the like button. We are getting closer to 1,000 for those 2 season ticket giveaways and even more coming up on the off season this year. So we'll see you back here on the flip side. Have a great one, everyone.